All right, everybody, welcome back to my market analysis. And I come to you with potentially good news. And to start off, I would like to say that although the things are bad, there are indicators that the bottom is either in or very close. And here are my reasons. At the moment, let's make this a lot smaller because the RSI is important. I know it's a very, very widespread used or widespread indicator that everybody utilizes. So it is probably easy for me to start off with this. Right. As you can see, the 2-day is extremely oversold. And let's look at every other instance, including the bear market, at which the 2-day the 2-day RSI reached these current levels, right? As you can see here, each and every time, I'm not saying that we can't revisit these lows again, but what I'm saying is that there is likely going to be a bounce, and if you're thinking about capitulating and selling, probably not the best time to be doing so. Also, in terms of the cycle and the drawdowns expected, I think this is just going to be a video of me saying, because I know a lot of people are holding positions and they're worried. If you're on some really bad altcoins, rest in peace, because I don't have the best news. A lot of them might not return, but they will bounce, I'm sure. But I'm not going to even use this. I'm going to use the larger one. But what we've been seeing across this cycle so far, I'm going to just delete this red line, drawdowns in the amount of, and we're actually equal to the amount of the one that we saw in July 2024, so last year, the largest drawdown of this cycle. And the fact that we've reached this level means that we're within that range where a pivot at the bottom is likely going to be there. Fear and greed index, so let me chuck that on the screen. Fear and greed index, we've finally reached levels which we haven't seen since May 2022. And let's go back to the chart so we can see where May 2022 is. May 2022. May 2022. The start, or well, the mid-range of the bear market, actually. And when we saw that again, I don't need to reference that chart, but it was in this region where it oscillated around, and potentially that's what we're going to be expecting as an outcome should this, low range sit for a while. So I wouldn't be like, jumping in major leverage positions, but also I would be looking for opportunities to buy. If not, if not buying already. Another indication that I've been using this entire cycle, and what my indicator is based off, measuring this high to this low during bull markets. 1618 is the level that's generally tapped. If you manage to long this, I didn't actually get to long this level, you get a very, 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 very good RR entry, which is exact. So if you bid that level with like a stop loss of like 1% or 2%, you'll end up having a high RR long in place during a bull market. That's great. And what about my position in BitTensor? BitTensor is currently sitting at the golden pocket, measured from the high range high and the low that's created, similar to this range here. And I've just been monitoring this level closely, because obviously if this breaks down, I might cut my position size down, because it might take this wick out like other altcoins currently, and sweep below liquidity, which might be a better time to be adding or watching for a pivot from that area. But as it stands, this level seems to be holding for the time being, given the fact that Bitcoin is bottoming now as well. Probably confluence across these two assets, meaning support is here for both Bitcoin and Tau. Did I say Tau before, or Ethereum? Tau. right? That's my only long at the moment. I think I'm going to be holding this, and if you want to see where I'm expecting this to go to, this channel is invalidated now, but I believe Tau will reach potentially a 30 to 50 billion dollar market cap, which would put it between like 2,000 and 4,000 something. So I'm either going to be making 500,000 to a million USD on this trade, depending on a few things. So I'm going to actually, be selling my Tau in the region you see up here. And again, I'm going to explain why this region is important, and I'm going to be using the range moves expansions that Bitcoin has been making so far, and that's the expectation, I guess, for each expansion at the moment. And this is how I've measured this range here. I have videos in the past showing how I've done this for previous cycles, and you want to be looking to sell at 4236 or near the 4618 of this measurement, right? And that's for the two green lines. Now let's go to the expansions of Bitcoin during this cycle and what the general expectation should be moving forward. So I've just marked this out, this low to this high, 90%. Expansion here is approximately 90%, right? It corrected, and the expansion here is around 90%. Again, a bit over 90%. So wherever we end up basing our load currently, right, expect a 90% expansion from here. So we might just sweep the 4236 level around the 150k region, or overshoot above if the last leg of the bull market is slightly overextended. It might go into this range, maybe 160, 170, maybe even close to 180, who knows. But should it go to this region, I'll be looking to sell Tau at whatever price, and perhaps at that point there will be more rotations to alts. Now let's go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, and I've been using fibs this whole time in this channel. If you want to review my videos on how I've done them, you probably should know how to use fibs in the regular way already. Measured from the bottom to the high here, as you can see, we have retained the rebound zone or the reverse golden pocket in this region with bearish divergence, right? Bearish divergence being this. So should there be a Bitcoin rally or something of, I guess, bullish sentiment returning into the market, either Bitcoin is going to dominate and push this all the way up to the, closer to the 70% region, or altcoins will start to get some inflow. Maybe not the main, maybe not all altcoins, because there's so many out there right now, but select altcoins which, have a strong narrative, and you'll find that potentially the altcoins that get the most attention will get the most liquidity. So whatever the strongest narratives are in each sector, meaning whichever coin is the leader, would be the safe bet to be taking. So if you're in gaming, look at the highest potential. Obviously, if you're going to take a higher risk bet, meaning a lower cap, there is a lower probability of that actually taking off, right? Because people might not pay attention and purchase that token. At the moment, BitTensor is my choice because it's, the leader of the AI narrative, and AI is a global narrative. I'm just repeating these things for people who may be viewing this channel for the first time. Solana. Something that I've seen in Solana at the moment is slightly concerning. However, it is the most bullish chart until this point in this cycle. And should Bitcoin see a recovery, we would probably see Solana, retain this range and go up. Otherwise, if it is the bear market, bearish case right now, this is probably more of a fleshed out chart. I might delete this and this for the time being. Something that I saw in Solana is some bearish divergence, obviously here, similar to this, and the shape is sort of similar in the sense that it's made this sort of wave up and it's negged down, and we might be in the process, should it be the bear market, of this phase right here. So there's a lot of conflicting data in the sense that, you know, things do look bad, but also now would be a good time to be entering should you believe the market has some room to continue. Now I'm going to open some data here that shows that in the performance, well, this is S&P 500's data, right? The performance with higher, well, sorry, S&P 500 performance when higher in January and lower in February. It is lower in February right now, and it was higher in January. In the case of March, it has 65% chance of being positive in the month of March, and I do think that the odds there of March being extremely positive, it's pretty much 50-50. I wouldn't be betting the house on March being a positive month. However, if you have a longer term perspective on this market, there are higher odds that towards the end of the year, the S&P 500 ends up higher. Do I think that this goes on for the extended period of 2025? I would say no, right? And I've got a few reasons on why that is the case, which I will be showing you in a second. But I would be betting that beyond the March period, the odds of the market remaining positive, at least for a couple of months, should still potentially be there. And let me show you the bonds. The bond market is something that I was mentioning in a previous video. And this level is the level that I marked off as probably not being surpassed, the RZ of this range, right? And it's actually started to tip down from that point on. And I'm going to overlay S&P 500 on a new price scale and log it off like that. So you can see the pivot points marked in a secondary color, and the primary color here is red, which means the stock market pivots downwards from that point, right? So as you can see here, the bond market turns over on the green, and red is when the stock market starts to collapse. The bonds pivot down, yellow, stock market collapse in red, bonds pivot on blue here, so on and so forth. So I'll turn the S&P 500 off so we're not confused. We can see that we've pivoted in November 2023, meaning I can't see this extending all the way to the end of 2025, because in previous cycles here, and there's unemployment data and stuff as well, I haven't prepared all of that. However, this is one of the reasons why I think the market, is potentially, on its perhaps last leg. At the moment, if we compare where this pivot occurred to COVID-19 and that collapse, we're sort of in line with the timing window of when that starts to occur. However, the actual move downwards, the acceleration, was a lot quicker to the downside in 2019, right? And same can be said in these other two instances. Obviously, the pivoting point for the stock market occurred faster in .com and GFC. However, the structure of our top here on the bond market seems to be a little bit more stable. If I were actually to compare where this pivot point is similar, would be during the GFC, right, where it comes down to the side here and it bounces up, and then once this starts to fall down, that's when the S&P 500 starts to, you know, take a turn for the worse and go down to the downside. However, in previous markets, as mentioned in my video, I think yesterday or the day before, I do think that the S&P 500 still has a little bit of gas in this tank to hit the 2618, which is, you know, not too far away, 6.3k, and in every other, well, the last two large cycles, this level is at least breached at the end of the cycle with, you know, a sort of impulsive move, which we haven't had just yet, and we are at the end of a very long financial cycle here, which ends up in a larger cyclical bear market, right? And we need to, I guess, or as an individual, you need to manage the risk, whereby if you're only getting exposure now, the downside potential is quite extreme, right? We could be finishing up here. I'm not saying that it's impossible. The bond market does say that, you know, on this shoulder going down, it is a possibility. However, if we start to sort of stabilize, or if we start to go down, however, S&P 500 ends up bouncing, there is opportunity to exit higher, in my opinion, right? Everything's just my opinion, not financial advice. I do think we do have some time left on this market, so hopefully this gives you a little bit more optimism when looking at, I guess another thing that's definitely worth mentioning is that Bitcoin has fallen out of this major channel. Mixed messages, right? Mixed messages. I tend to believe that the market still has a final leg in the market. The invalidation, I guess, what would invalidate the thesis here? In my opinion, if we see the price of Bitcoin re-enter this range and show significant weakness, there is a possibility that the bull market is over. And the reason being is we have sort of played out a complete Elliott wave for Bitcoin. So there is that as well. Many things to consider, guys. I say right now wouldn't be a bad time to bid the market. Hopefully you enjoyed my video. Like and subscribe. Peace out.